This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Tuesday, March 16, 2021. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, a tale of two states, Florida and California. They follow very different strategies for dealing with the coronavirus, raising the question, have the lockdowns been necessary? An important new discovery in Israel. More Dead Sea Scrolls have been found with biblical manuscripts. We're going to bring you the story from Jerusalem. The top leaders of China, including the president, now facing accusations of genocide against their own people. And in Southern California, Sean Foyt's Let Us Worship tour brings the gospel to Southern California over the weekend, with many coming to salvation. Those stories and more are ahead in today's edition of CBN NewsWatch. I want to begin this half hour with a look at the coronavirus lockdowns. Despite their differing approaches, California and Florida have experienced almost identical outcomes in COVID-19 case rates. While Florida has worked to stay open, California has pursued strict lockdowns. But has it helped? CBN's Jenna Browder has the story now. She's in Washington.
It's a study of two states with two very different approaches to the pandemic and about the same outcome. Florida, open for business. California, on lockdown.
Florida schools are open, and we are one of only a handful of states in which every parent has the right to send their child to school in person.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, in his State of the State address this month, says schools are open. California Governor Gavin Newsom says schools there are working to reopen.
Working together with parents and teachers and school leaders, we've turned the conversation from whether to reopen to when.
Newsom ordered the nation's first statewide COVID shutdowns and continues to maintain a mask mandate. Indoor dining and other activities are strictly limited too. Meanwhile, Florida has no statewide restrictions, and DeSantis is not allowing cities to fine people who don't wear masks.
Every business in Florida has a right to operate. Over these many months, we've stood up for small, family-owned businesses and have saved thousands of them from ruin.
Because California, we're not going to come crawling back. We will roar back.
And it might be all for naught. The CDC says since COVID began, California and Florida have had nearly the same case rate, around 8,900 for every 100,000 people. The death rate, too, has Florida ranked 27th among states, California 28th. And in terms of unemployment, right now Florida sits at 5.1%, California 9.3%.
I've been to those two states in the last month. It's like, Venus and Mars.
Economist Stephen Moore on CBN's Newswatch.
Florida's open for business. The schools are open. The stores are open. The restaurants are open. The churches are open. People are getting up and about. In California, just the opposite. Everything's pretty much locked down.
California's slow reopening is expected to gain steam in April, but it comes as Republicans there help organize a recall against Governor Newsom that's drawn nearly 2 million signatures. That's 500,000 more than needed to meet tomorrow's deadline. Jenna Browder, CBN News.
And CBN News medical reporter Lorie Johnson is here now with more. So, Lorie, does the lockdown issue boil down to a question of human behavior and responsibility?
Well, it might just turn out to be true, Ephraim. Of course, we always have to look to the science. We have to carefully study what's been going on during this pandemic and learn what worked, because we're going to have another pandemic. Hopefully, it'll be many years from now. And we have to also learn what didn't work. So you look at a place like Florida, where 20% of the population is over the age of 65. We know this is the highest risk category. 1 out of 5 people in Florida is one of those high-risk citizens. And yet we did not see just an astounding death toll, particularly in light of the fact that it was a rather open state. And so you ask the question, why? And as it turns out, a lot of these senior citizens policed themselves. They locked down themselves, if you will. In other words, they looked at their own risk and assessed it. And so even though the stores were open, the restaurants were open, the people who were highest risk stayed home and didn't go out. And so now a lot of them are vaccinated fully and are enjoying the freedoms that Florida offers. And so we know, scientists say without a doubt, there's no question that the most transmissions occur within the home and in settings like parties and things like that, not in businesses and certainly not in schools. And so people who have taken precautions as far as seeing other people in homes and going to parties and things like that are the ones where we see the biggest difference in case transmissions.
Sweden just announced today it's going to stop using the AstraZeneca vaccine. Germany and France have also stopped using it as well. What's behind this?
Well, first of all, we need to emphasize that the AstraZeneca vaccine is not being used here in the United States. So people here in the U.S. don't need to worry about the AstraZeneca vaccine. It is not here. It is still being considered in trials right now, but it hasn't been approved. And the FDA has a very stringent emergency use authorization approval process. Having said that, some other countries have already started using the AstraZeneca vaccine and have stopped using it because of some blood clotting issues that are very serious, although they're not directly related to the AstraZeneca vaccine yet. What do I mean by that? People got the AstraZeneca vaccine, and then some people later had some serious blood clotting issues. So a lot of these countries have stopped using the vaccine until they can determine one way or the other whether the vaccine caused these blood clotting issues.
Let's turn to reopening schools. That's certainly a big issue across the country. A new study now says that 3 feet of distancing rather than 6 feet might be enough to open them safely. Tell us about that.
Well, it's just one study in some Massachusetts schools, but it did show, scientifically studied, that 3 feet was not any more dangerous to the kids than 6 feet. And so the CDC is examining this research and may come out with new guidelines. So we'll have to wait and see about that.
That'll be a big deal indeed. Before we let you go, what's ahead this evening on Healthy Living?
Well, today I'm talking to Mark Sisson, who has the wildly popular website, Mark's Daily Apple. He's one of the leaders in the paleo movement, and he just wrote a book called 2 Meals a Day. And as you might guess, that's about intermittent fasting, about how you can lose weight and stay young and healthy and energetic by eating in a smaller window. Instead of 3 meals a day, just 2 meals a day. So that's tonight at 9:30 on the CBN News Channel.
All right. Thank you, Lorie. We look forward to seeing that. Once again, Healthy Living, you can find it this evening on the CBN News Channel. President Joe Biden is reportedly planning a major tax increase to help pay for his long-term economic program that is coming up next after his $1.9 trillion COVID relief bill. The next measure is expected to cost even more. So the White House is looking at higher taxes on businesses and upper-income Americans. Conservatives warn that could hurt the economy. The administration may also borrow more money, but that would increase the exploding national debt and could increase the chances of a financial crisis in the years ahead. Turning now overseas, the Israel Antiquities Authority announced it has recovered dozens of fragments of a biblical Dead Sea Scroll for the first time in about 60 years. In what has been described as a complex and challenging operation, archaeologists rappelled down cliffs in the Judean desert to discover the treasures. The objective of the operation was to rescue the rare and important heritage artifacts before looters and robbers could get to them.
For years, we chased after antiquities looters. We finally decided to preempt the thieves and try reaching the artifacts before they're removed from the ground in the caves. The high cliffs of 300 to 400 meters in a single drop, with these enigmatic ravines that no one reaches, were the ultimate haven. And in one period of human history, families fled to the caves in the Judean desert.
The fragments contain verses from 12 minor prophets, including Zechariah and Nahum. They also discovered a 6,000-year-old skeleton of a child and a 10,500-year-old basket. Coming up, China's brutal tactics, including murder, concentration camps, and more. Now, a report accuses China of genocide against some of its own people. We're going to have that important story for you when we come back.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, A new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to CBN Newswatch. In Tokyo today, the U.S. Secretaries of State and Defense met with Japan's Foreign Minister and Defense Minister to discuss both countries' concerns about China's growing ambitions in the East and South China Seas. The meeting comes amid other international concerns over China, including murder, forced sterilization, and present-day concentration camps. All tactics China is reportedly using against millions of Muslims known as Uyghurs. As George Thomas shows us, China's top leaders, including the president, now face accusations of genocide against their own people.
The authors of a new report say they have proof that Beijing is intent on destroying China's Muslim Uyghur population as part of a broader campaign to unify the country under one ethnic identity.
The evidence is overwhelming that China is clearly in breach of the 1948 Genocide Convention.
That evidence included public and leaked Chinese state documents, testimony from more than 10,000 eyewitnesses, and satellite images. The overall conclusion, it all points to President Xi Jinping's brutal goal to meld the country's 55 ethnic minorities, including Uyghurs, into China's Han culture. Han Chinese account for more than 90% of the population.
He himself is less of a communist and more of a Han nationalist. He is in the process of Sinification of the entire country. And it's not just the Uyghurs that are Muslims, they are the most prominent ones, but there's actually other minorities too. There's Kazakhs, there's Uzbeks, etc. And even actually Christian minorities, they have a process of bulldozing down churches.
7 years after President Xi told authorities to show absolutely no mercy to the Uyghurs, as many as 2 million of them are now locked up in concentration camps spread across China's Xinjiang province. There, they endure torture, rape, forced sterilization, slave labor, and are stripped of their Muslim faith and told to embrace communist ideology.
The Chinese communist propagandists call this re-education camps or vocational training centers. They must think we're idiots.
Some 500,000 Uyghur children have been removed from their parents, placed in state-run orphanages, and brainwashed.
Forced labor and centralized care of children serve to effectively inhibit the intergenerational transmission of culture, religion, and language by reducing joint family times and instead drastically increasing parents' and children's exposure to secular government teaching and training.
The government is reportedly sending Han Chinese men to sleep with Muslim Uyghur women while their husbands are in prison or shipped against their will to far-off towns and cities, all in an effort to promote ethnic unity.
Han Chinese are actually being moved from other parts of China into Xinjiang, and they're encouraged to in many cases, forcibly marry Uyghur women to essentially dilute their identity through their offspring. So this is a very calculated and thought-out process from the state apparatus in China.
China has repeatedly denied its ethnic policies amount to genocide.
The claim that there is genocide in Xinjiang could not be more preposterous. It's just a rumor fabricated with ulterior motives and a thorough lie.
Meanwhile, dozens of U.S. companies like Nike, Coca-Cola, Adidas, Tommy Hilfiger, and others are facing renewed pressure to stop using Uyghur workers to produce their goods in Xinjiang province factories. The United States Commission on International Religious Freedom accused these companies of complicity, fueling Uyghur persecution.
If corporate America won't take action, consumers need to, and stop doing business with companies like Nike and Coca-Cola and others who benefit from forced labor in China.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken will meet top Chinese officials in Alaska today. He's expected to bring up Beijing's actions in Xinjiang.
If China claims that there is nothing going on, that it give access to the international community, to the United Nations. If they have nothing to hide, show it to us, show the world.
George Thomas, CBN News.
Still ahead, as tomorrow marks St. Patrick's Day here at home, we're going to bring you a behind-the-scenes look at CBN's movie about his life. I Am Patrick. We'll bring you the story right after this.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, but few people know the true story behind that young bishop who left his home in Britain to bring the Christian faith to Ireland. CBN Films has produced a docudrama on the real life of St. Patrick. Here's a behind-the-scenes look at the film.
Action! To narrate in detail, either the whole story of my labors or even parts of it, would take a long time.
And so begins this look back at the life of St. Patrick in the film I Am Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland.
Cut! Cut!
Jared Anderson is the writer and director.
You don't have to embellish the story of St. Patrick at all. I mean, it's such a dramatic story, such a powerful story. It's just a delight to be able to have a story like that that's true.
Patrick answers God's call and travels to Ireland to deliver the gospel to the pagan country, even enduring slavery.
People get a little lost with the legends and the myths about St. Patrick, and the real man, the real St. Patrick, is far more fascinating than the legend and myth. And in fact, I think the more human Patrick that people don't really know about is really far more inspirational.
To tell that inspirational true story.
My name is Robert McCormick, and I am playing young Patrick in this film.
My name is Sean T. O'Malley, and I am playing Middle Patrick.
I'm John Reece Davies, and I play the older St. Patrick.
Jared casts 3 actors to play the leading role.
I mean, when you're casting, it's like a casting nightmare to have 3 different people you're trying to cast, but eye color, facial structure, they totally work. So on action, you can just look to there.
John Reece Davies, best known for his roles in Lord of the Rings and Indiana Jones, was initially only doing voice narration for the feature-length docudrama.
We never planned on having John Reece Davies actually play old Patrick, but after the voiceover record, it had to be him.
I was drawn to this project because I love the character of Patrick. I think he's a fascinating modern. Every time you come and look at that extraordinary life of his, you learn something else. You get more of the feel of the man. I know a little bit about Patrick and knew it before, but actually to shoot it in the sort of context that he knew and lived in is very remarkable. Coming to Ireland wasn't like coming as a tourist to visit the lovely castles and things like that. It was coming to hell. Human sacrifice, idolatry of the worst sort, endless enslavement. It was the apotheosis of human misery. And it took a very brave and remarkable man to come back into the certain jaws of death to try and change it.
Patrick's brave and bold story is one everyone on set takes lessons from.
From an actor's point of view, the internal struggle and the conflict is really interesting because on one hand, Patrick believes that he's come here to spread God's message, but on the other hand, he's facing some very real and dangerous obstacles.
It is true that not a lot of people know the story of St. Patrick. Even myself, reading the script, I found out stuff that I didn't know before. That is really, really interesting.
And there's one more interesting star in this film, and that's the country itself.
I think it's important to film in Ireland when you're doing a movie about St. Patrick because there's nowhere else that looks like Ireland. Plus, you know, when you're reaching out to an audience about St. Patrick, to not film in Ireland is almost a slap in the face. And we've had such a great crew, great cast, I would never have wanted to film this anywhere else.
And you can get a DVD copy of I Am Patrick with a gift of any dollar amount. And this year, we're also releasing a special 4K streaming version of I Am Patrick through the CBN Family app. Tomorrow on St. Patrick's Day, you'll get access to a special premiere of the theatrical release. It includes interviews with the actors, an exclusive look behind the scenes, and much more special content. So visit IamPatrick.com, or you can call 1-800-700-7000 or text Patrick to 71777 today. March is Women's History Month, celebrating the contributions of women worldwide, and one award-winning actress is highlighting the accomplishments of African-American women. Morgan Avery McCoy has starred in the 2019 blockbuster film Harriet and now travels across the nation telling the stories of 12 phenomenal women, including women like Maggie Walker and Rosa Parks. McCoy told CBN's The Prayer Link that telling stories inspires people to pursue their dreams, incite conversations, and to promote transformation.
Little girl and I told people that I wanted to be an actor. Someone said, well, how can you be an actor and a Christian? And I said, God has called me to acting. And when I was 6 years old, I saw a movie that inspired me and challenged me to accept Jesus Christ as my Savior. At 14, I witnessed a skit that caused me to say, I'm going to live 100% for you, Lord. So I know the power of storytelling, and God loves you, and he has a plan and a purpose for your life, and he knows what he's called you to do. I encourage you to pray and ask, Lord, show me what you want me to be. Show me what you want me to do.
Now you can see the prayer link this evening at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time on the CBN News Channel. Coming up, Sean Foyt took his Let Us Worship tour to Southern California over the weekend, with many hearing the gospel and coming to salvation. We're going to hear why he says it is important for these events to continue to be held outdoors. When we come back, stay with us.
Yeah, buddy.
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Worship evangelist Sean Foyt and his Let Us Worship Revival Tour ministered to people in Southern California over the weekend. Foyt and his team performed in a century-old amphitheater in Riverside Saturday, with many coming to salvation.
People are giving their hearts to Jesus that are just walking by. This is why we love doing things outdoors, because we're able to reach so many people that would never come inside of a church.
People of all races, ages, and backgrounds held hands while lifting up the name of Jesus. Many released their burdens that they've been carrying them to seek salvation. Foyt said, "Nothing is impossible with God. No place is too dark or too hard. God can do anything, and he can do it anywhere." Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable. Here's a message to encourage you, and I hope that you'll post, tag, tweet, and share it with others in your circle. Think on this for a moment. You awoke this morning with the blessing of breathing, and that gift alone is worthy of celebration. Don't neglect the gift. Appreciate it, and more importantly, appreciate the giver of the gift, a God who chose to breathe the breath of life into you for yet another day. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN Newswatch. Thank you so much for watching. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We would love to know what you think about any of the stories you've seen here today. You can email us. The address is right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And you can reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We would love to hear from you. Make this a terrific Tuesday. We'll see you right back here, same time, same place tomorrow. Bye-bye, everybody.